everyone, this is WABC Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg, and this is Wake Up Weather on ABC 7 NY and for Weather or Not. And we are waking up to the coldest morning of the season. Cold weather alerts across the tri-state area. And if you left the car outside in some of the northwest suburbs, don't forget to leave time to scrape those windows this morning. We have a freeze warning in parts of Ulster and Dutchess, Putnam, Orange County, also into northwestern New Jersey, interior Fairfield County, where likely the growing season comes to an end with temperatures near 30 and even into the upper 20s in the coldest spots. And then a frost advisory, coastal Connecticut, northern Westchester, northern Rockland County, northwestern Bergen, southeastern Passaic, and parts of Hunterdon County, Somerset, Middlesex, and Mercer County. Those advisories will go till 9 in the morning, or those alerts will. And then we'll start to see our temperatures recover nicely in the afternoon hours. We continue our dry stretch, which is the driest start to October on record. And if you go back to the last day of September, it's 17 days and counting. We'll tell you where that stands in the list of dry stretches. And it's getting there. It's getting into the top 10 and top 5 in some cases in driest starts to October. So in terms of the extended forecast, we've got a stretch of 70-degree days coming up. That's likely going to start on Saturday. Some areas could actually touch 70 on Friday. Temperatures are essentially overachieving right now because when we get full sunshine and we have had no rain for so long, the soil is very dry, you can see your temperatures just get to levels, maybe they're a degree or two higher than some of our computer models would indicate. So we're definitely forecasting our temperatures on the higher side of what we're seeing on some of our guidance. And then in terms of rainfall, you know, there's a weak front that's coming through next Wednesday. That looks like it's coming through dry. We'll watch it closely. And then after that, the next chance would be the following Saturday. So you're talking about no significant rain for the next 10 days. And maybe it's just totally dry during that time. Incredible stretch. We start out with your futurecast where you're freezing or below well off to the north and west, but widespread 30s in many of our suburbs and Pine Barrens of New Jersey, and also eastern Long Island will be rather chilly as well. We go through the day and not as harsh in the afternoon hours. Temperatures should make a run at the 60-degree mark. Now, the one subtle change that's happened with the Thursday forecast is there is a storm that is spinning offshore. It's developing off the Carolina coast. It stays safely offshore. In fact, you know, this is the only rain we're seeing on our futurecast for some time. But there will be a few patches of clouds that scrape our coastline. So if you're looking at sky coverage average overall, it's mainly sunny north and west. It's mostly to partly sunny at times, south and east, splitting hairs. I mean, that's the most challenging part of our forecast, is watching some clouds that brush the coastline. The other thing is with the low pressure offshore and high pressure building in, our breezes, which to me earlier in the week looked like we were getting calmer and going to stay fairly quiet in terms of the wind into Friday, I would say we have to keep the breezes up both Thursday and Friday because of that low offshore and high pressure moving in. The Friday morning temperatures, even though they may not be as chilly as Thursday morning, they're still, require the fall jacket. It's chilly in the morning, we got bright sunshine, and then in the afternoon hours, we should have a nice recovery as temperatures get in the low and middle 60s, bright sunny skies, and a north-northeasterly wind. The winds are fairly light on Thursday morning. There's a bit of a breeze, but I do anticipate some gusts to near 20 miles an hour, maybe near 25 miles an hour along the immediate coast with that low offshore. And then even into the day on Friday, especially along the coast, I think we can have some wind gusts that are over 20 miles an hour. Not very impactful the farther inland you go. The wind really won't be too noticeable. But there's that low offshore on Friday, maybe by about 500 miles, and high pressure building in. So we're sandwiched in between with that north-northeast wind. So that low moves out to sea as we go through the weekend and high pressure moves closer. We'll have a light wind on Saturday, which is interesting because temperatures may not jump as much from Friday to Saturday. I think we'll be closer to the 70-degree mark. There's not as much wind to mix things around, but it's a bright sunny day. We're near 70 degrees. It's beautiful. This front is held off to the west by this high. Once a front starts to kind of collapse over into northern New England on Sunday, we're going to get a more pronounced flow out of the west. That'll help to heat things up a little bit. So I think we'll be in the mid-70s on Sunday. There might be a little bit of cloudiness along the I-90 corridor, so maybe there are a few patchy clouds, Catskills and into the mid-Hudson Valley. But it's a sunny to maybe partly cloudy day well to the north. Even warmer on Monday. Temperatures can get into the upper 70s, and I think we'll stay into the 70s right through maybe Thursday of next week. The front that has brought the brief blast of November chill, which of course is moderating, that front made it all the way through Florida down into the northern Caribbean. So we've been watching a couple of potential weather systems in the tropics, but because that front has gone to the south, everything's suppressing all the storm tracks to the south. So we're looking at Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti, maybe Cuba, Jamaica being impacted by some showers and thunderstorms from a tropical wave. Maybe there's a tropical depression down there over the weekend into early next week. A piece of that may come back to the Atlantic, but I think overall everything's going to stay to our south. The Gulf is closed. Closed for business, I mean, because of the pattern, and the same thing with the East Coast. Here are the two specific systems we're watching. One that's an area of low pressure over the southwestern Caribbean, and I mean, maybe it develops just before making landfall, but it's going to head westward and just bring a lot of rain to Central America. This other small little system that's going to start closing in on Leeward Islands over the next day or two, it's very disorganized. The chances for development have been slowly going down. It's facing an uphill battle. There's a lot of shear. There's definitely a window where it runs into water temperatures that are 4 to 6 degrees above average. So, could it be a depression as it goes near or north of Puerto Rico and then kind of bends down toward Hispaniola and into the northern Caribbean? It shouldn't be a major player. It's more just some pockets of heavy rain there, but we'll continue to watch it very, very closely. Again, if you look at it on this particular computer guidance with some of the low-level spin, you've got a piece of energy right there, low pressure on the 18th on Friday, another one north of Puerto Rico here. It kind of dips toward the north shore of the Dominican Republic and maybe the Turks and Caicos on Saturday. The other one over the Caribbean is now inland over Central America, bringing some heavy rainfall and then kind of weakens. And then you see how that low, or maybe it becomes a tropical depression briefly over maybe or eastern Cuba, essentially just kind of gets sheared apart. A piece of it may actually reemerge into the Atlantic, but it's just not going to be a player for the United States. And you can see that it's way out to sea by the time we get into the weekend and late next week. Now, in terms of the dry weather, October is off to the driest start on record. So through the 16th, we've only had a trace of rainfall, and that was on the 9th. For the month, we're over 2 inches below average. So I made a list of the longest dry stretches to start October, just the longest October dry stretches in general, okay? And you go back to 1973, you have 26 days from the 3rd to the 28th. So currently, we're looking at the 5th longest dry stretch just in October. We already have the longest dry stretch to begin the month, so that's already in first place there. But when we talk about the longest October dry stretches, we're in 5th place. When you talk about the longest dry stretch for any period during the year, that's 36 days. That happened in the fall of 1923. So you say, well, we're a ways away from that. But I'll tell you what, we're going to climb this list for sure, because if you're talking about adding another 7 to 10 days for this, we could certainly be flirting with the top spot of longest October dry stretches and maybe getting into the top 10 of longest dry stretches ever, which I believe would have to get to about 24. So I think we get very close to that as we take it into next week. In any case, it's a historic dry stretch. You look at the overall deficits here in our major reporting stations, and generally about 2 inches below normal in most areas. In terms of rainfall since September 1st, nearly 5 inches below average. For the year now, an inch below average, and our reservoirs that gap keeps increasing. We're now nearly 4.5% below average levels with our reservoirs. As we go beyond the 7-day and we inch toward Halloween, the pattern is still for below normal precipitation, but hopefully this trend where I've been watching this above normal area over the Great Lakes translating eastward a little bit, maybe we'll start seeing at least a more normal precipitation pattern as we get into the beginning of November. But in the meantime, our rainfall chances are next to nothing through midweek next week. Now that has impacted the foliage. Maybe you've noticed that. There's certainly splashes of really nice color. We're peaking with the color in the Catskills and Poconos, but it is a little muted, and we definitely have had sort of some premature leaf drop because of all the dryness we experience. But right now, you're looking at moderate color through northern New Jersey and near the I-287 corridor. Will be nearing peak over the next week and a half or so. Just patchy color around New York City. Parts of the north shore of the island have some really nice color. And down through southern New Jersey, we're just starting to see some more patchy color. So the next coming weeks, in the heart of the tri-state area, we start seeing our peak color as the foliage kicks in. But again, with the dry stretch, that could stress out the trees degrees to the point where you get maybe a splash of nice color and then a quick leaf drop. So it might be premature in that way. Looking at the steering winds overall, big ridge of high pressure over the eastern two-thirds of the country. We're really warm through Monday. Then there is a little trough, little dip in the jet stream that wants to come through on Wednesday. But it's really unimpressive. It probably just comes through with some cloud patches. Maybe there's a shower off to the north, but I don't expect much measurable precip out of that. It does change the air mass temperature a little bit. It brings in kind of a hybrid Pacific polar air mass. The heart of that chillier air is over eastern Canada and over northern New England, but it probably cools us back to seasonable levels. And we have this above normal stretch to end the month where we're way above average in 70s, but by the time maybe we get to late next week, we see our temperatures drop. And this is actually, I'm just looking at this for the first time, latest guidance, computer-generated guidance, showing that nice warm-up and showing now 6 days in the 70s and a nice drop-off close to actually below normal by the time we get to Friday the 25th. So it does look like we get just a cooling of the air mass that may just bounce around seasonable after that for a while as we head closer to November, but a 6-day stretch in the 70s in late October. 43 degrees at 7 in the morning on your Thursday. It's clear and chilly. Remember to have the coat. We've got 30s in many suburbs, a frost or freeze possible. Through the day, upper 50s to around 60. Remember, there's a few more patchy clouds along the coast. It does remain a little breezy, especially the closer to the coast you are, but we'll go for a high of 60 after a chilly start. Sunny to partly cloudy skies, more clouds at the coast. Comet viewing, that continues into the weekend. The comet is getting higher in the sky each night and a little dimmer, but there's still good viewing, and the fact that we have these pristine sky conditions take advantage of that. And by the way, it will be sharing the sky with a supermoon. In fact, it's the super hunter's moon, which is awesome, on the 17th, so you get a chance to look at that on Thursday night. Remember, the comet's in the western sky. It's 45 minutes to an hour after sunset. That's when we've been getting most of our reports, especially around that 7:30, now pushing it to maybe 7:40, 7:45 time period. Keep watching it then. It is, again, easier to see as we go through the end of the work week, but it's getting dimmer and higher in the sky as we go into the weekend. 47 degrees as we go through the nighttime hours on Thursday. Clear skies and a few patchy clouds south and east. That's Thursday night. Here's your 7-day AccuWeather forecast. So a milder afternoon on Friday after a chilly start. I mean, look at that. Just sunshine across the board. By Saturday afternoon, we should be around 70. We take a 5-degree jump on Sunday. It's feeling toasty by Monday in the upper 70s. Warm and dry again on Tuesday. Remember, there's that little front on Wednesday that'll bring a few more patchy clouds in the mid-70s. Shouldn't cool us off too much for Thursday, but we probably take the big drop Thursday night into Friday when temperatures go back into the low to mid-60s for your high temperatures. But pretty simple, straightforward forecasts. It's great and it's beautiful and it's awesome for getting out and leaf peeping and all the outdoor activities, but we're awful dry at this point. We really could use some rain. I just don't see it over the next 7-10 days, but you'll know first when that pattern changes right here on Whether or Not. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time, rain or shine.